been here before. We're at Holyoke Media, right? And you are
Benjamin Smith.
Benjamin Smith, and the writer, the playwright.
I'm the playwright of the Obituary.
Of the Obituary. And it has taken off a little bit.
It has.
Yeah.
The journey for the Obituary has been so amazing.
Right.
And it started when I was in class writing this new piece, competing against 18 other students.
Right.
And my professor just saw the piece and heard the piece when I
Right.
pitched it. And out of all the pitches of the 18 of us, I came in number 1. And then after that, I just started scripting the show, and then the show came out. And then 3 other people were given reads on campus, and I was thinking I was going to get a read because that was
Right.
what the professor said. But then 3 got reads, and I got a show in New York.
You got the show. Okay. But you already had a hot review when you were in 5th grade, because I did a little research.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so that resonates in you?
It does. Miss Granberry it's so amazing. A teacher does not know how they can influence someone's life. It's something simple that they can say. And Miss Granberry, when she said I was a prolific writer, that was just amazing. I didn't know what it meant, but you're saying prolific is at 3 syllables. I'm good. It must mean something
but
great.
Prolific for a kid sounds like the top of the mountain.
Exactly.
It doesn't sound like a multiple. It sounds like a great thing to be.
Definitely.
Yeah, so in a way, when you talk about your writing process, and we talked a little bit before, you seem to have a natural flow there that you turn on and off. Is that unfair, or is that true?
It's definitely fair. I think when it comes to writing, I actually sit down and I just feel what the world is saying.
Right.
And I just sit still and I be calm. I don't listen to any music. It's just quiet. Me, my computer, and nothing.
Right.
And then the characters come to me, and the voices come to me.
Really?
And the story comes to me. And then I can just write the story straight through. And I can write a story like straight through without an outline. And I could just see it so vivid. I could see the characters so vividly. And I can hear what their voices. I can see what they look like. It just comes to me.
Right.
And that's exactly how I wrote the Obituary.
Well, first of all, I can't contradict you, but I can call you a liar in a way, because it's an elaborate script. It's not, it's not just a straight ahead line. It has surprises and all that stuff, like an O. Henry story on stage. So that came out that way?
It did. First, I sat at a blank screen trying to figure out, because I had a deadline of when this play was due. So I sat at a blank screen just trying to figure out what's going to happen for maybe a day or 2.
Okay.
But then when the words start coming to me, and I first met Thad, who is the main character in the show, and I realized that he had a problem, and that's what I was solving. What's the problem? And I had to communicate with that character. How can we resolve this problem? What is the problem? So I went into that, and when I went into that and I opened that door, the script came to me.
Tell me what the problem was.
The problem was that he was not happy, that he was living a life that he did not choose. He was living a life that was curated by his father, and he wanted to be himself, but he felt like he was held to a standard that was well beyond his own, and he wanted to find out what it would be like to be his authentic self.
Right.
And that's what the problem was.
Right, okay. I'd say you took him farther than even you knew when you started.
Yes.
Okay, so
it
tell me a
traveled.
little bit about finding out as you went what was important to show.
What was important to show was to show that, one of the things I wanted the audience to walk away with is that there are no villains in this play. You think there are, but there are not. There are people who are living lives and they have circumstances that are beyond their own, and they're doing things and making choices to affect others. But and they may seem selfish, but there's a deep-rooted foundation of why the choices are made.
Right. And so you knew that at 5th grade. You knew you had to had to get that going.
I didn't know that at 5th grade, but Ms. Granberry must have knew something.
She knew something. Well, I want to say so. The thing is, we're not going to talk on and on, although I would love to. We're going to try to be sensible. But when you talked about the fact that these characters have to reveal themselves, tell me how you decided you needed to pull out a prop in the middle of what was that prop that dominates the stage.
Okay. So, the key thing about the show is called the Obituary.
Right.
So, as you know, when obituaries, funerals, and we placed it at a funeral home, and the family actually owns a very influential funeral home. So, of course, at a funeral home, when you go there, 9 times out of 10, when you walk into the parlor, you're going to see a coffin, and you're probably going to see a body.
Right.
I mean, all the times that I ever went to a funeral home, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
So you will see a coffin and a body that will be there.
Okay, but I'm thinking from the playwright's point of view. It seems to me, and maybe you had decided this earlier, that was the way to give voice to your character.
Well, that was a way for me to really develop who the character was, and I wanted you to actually see him there and see his relationship with his son before he even, I don't want to give away too much,
Go ahead.
before the world speaks to the room.
Right.
But I wanted to make sure that you knew that there was a certain reverence that Thad had for Theodore, his dad. And it was a reverence, and there was a need to be perfect, and there was a need to do everything right, to be meticulous. Right. And I wanted to develop that, and I want you to know that that's what Thad was feeling. So I felt like that's the way to do it, for him to start choosing the clothes, for him to think about what the makeup looks like, for him to not think that it looks perfect, for him to try again and redo
Right.
and work hard and stress over it. The perfect father.
I made you a man. You got the green survival fighting spirit with the Gohagen name. That's some power.
Can't live this lie
This
anymore.
ain't no lie. This is your reality. Now you take your feelings you have for Gene or any other man with your deviant perversion, you pack it way back in the darkest corner of your mind. You can look, but you can't touch.
But then I thought what I was leading to is you gave voice to the father.
Yes, we do give voice to the father.
That's the giving away too much, but
Yes,
that
yes.
really happens in a very surprising and beautiful way. And that's what I think took you into another dimension. Everybody's going, nobody has had that freedom.
Yes, I felt like, for me, and I've dealt with a lot of death in my family. My mom passed away when I was 23. And when it comes to the spiritual connection, I truly believe that there is a spiritual connection. And I believe that the body may die, but the soul lives on. And it's around you, even when you don't know it. I feel like there might be people in this room right now that we don't know, we don't see, but the body lives on and the soul lives, the body dies, but the soul lives on. And I wanted to convey that because something happened to me when my mom passed. My mom passed, I was living in Boston. And when I came home from Boston the day that she passed, her spirit spoke to me and told me things that I would not know because I was not living in the house for over 7 years. I was in school, and then I was recruited by John Hancock in Boston. So I wasn't in the house for over 7 years. But something spoke to me and told me some specific things to find in the attic, and they were there. My mother said, upstairs in the attic, there's a trunk behind my rack of clothes. Inside that trunk is sheets and towels. Don't bring them out until my mother gets here. So her mother outlived my mother. My grandmother outlived my mother. And I kid you not, I would have never known that upstairs in the attic, there was a trunk. And it just so happened to be the same trunk that she sent me to school. Really? She sent me to school with, and that's a whole nother story. But yes, so I feel like the spirit speaks on, and I feel the connection. So I wasn't afraid to go into that direction and talk about a spiritual connection that the Father and the Son has.
So it wasn't a big leap, in a sense,
Definitely,
for you to have that technique, because it's a very original thing to do.
It was not a big leap for me because I always feel that I'm connected, and I feel that I have these special sensors that I feel things. And it's strange, but it's good because it makes me who I am. And it gave me the license to write this and stand up on 2 feet on the ground as I put this forward.
Okay. So when people see the play, give me a couple of things that they say right away to you, because you must carry stories back after you've given it out to the world.
Yeah, I think the first thing I hear when I get off stage, when the play's over, is, "Oh my God."
Thank you.
I hear that. And it's funny because it makes me think that I took them to a place where they were challenged, and I made some people uncomfortable, but I opened up some eyes, and that's what I really wanted to do. And I really wanted to make sure that when you left the theater, you didn't just leave content, but you had questions, you had interest, and you wanted to see it again, and then you wanted to have conversations, and it just pulled you into a new way of the obituary, conversing about the obituary with your friends. And that's how we got so many people who are following us and coming in to see the show, even tomorrow night, even when we present it in Springfield, coming to see the show. It's because the conversations that lead on after the production's over.
I want to acknowledge a great artist friend of mine who said, good art asks a question, right? So you said you could come away with a question.
Yes.
And to me, that's part of the art. And to me, that's another thing I said to you earlier, which is this play transcends race.
It does.
It's about family, by the way.
Really
which
is.
This is your family,
yes,
right?
It really
Although
is.
I'll try to get the second page in. There's 2 pages of them.
Yes.
This evidently is very important. And then it's a theme, it seems to me, throughout your work in this play.
Yes.
It's not just about death. It's about families, relationships.
Yes. And it's not really about death. It's about life. It's about life and living the life that you want to live and being your authentic self. And how do you move on? And how do you face adversity and still keep that family connection? Because so many families, they fall apart. And we say this, that funerals are known to bring families together and tear some apart. And sometimes when death happens, you have people who don't talk with each other again. Right. But other times when death happens, you have people who haven't spoken in years, they're coming together in the room, and now it rekindles that relationship. So funerals bring people together and tear some apart.
Okay, so you already said that nobody's a villain. But is that your way of saying, don't think that this is going to end in death and everybody's in tears at the end of your play? There's this, and you just said life. Is this something that's important to you as a writer?
I think it's something that's important to me for you to walk out the room and know that there's something else. There's something else. Maybe there was something that was not said. And these things are having conversations in your head about what was not said on stage. And I think that that's what I want the audience to walk out with, to think of those conversations that are not said, even if they're just thinking about what the show was about. And everybody's always asking for a talk back after the show. Unfortunately, we can't always do it because some of the shows are not matinees or evening shows.
Well, what about the fact that you don't seem to want to give away the story all the time? So I'm dancing around saying too much.
Definitely.
But at the same time, this is, to me, a chance for us to see more about you and what you care about. So if you think about your own personal move through this period of time where you've become an aggressive, successful person of color in this world, is there a lesson for you that you can share with us?
I think the lesson that I can share with you is that you have to be, and I think this comes from my parents. My parents taught me to really dream big and to really move forward, and don't just dream without putting in actions and putting in work. But anything that you want, you have to work for. And that's what I want to convey in this show as well. So for me, the lessons that I've learned is to just dream and think big. And even the fact that, this little African-American boy is at Harvard University, and that's so amazing. So it's like, wow, don't be limited by your surroundings, but always think outside of the box and always think that you can achieve anything that you choose to, even with being not just the writer of the show, but being a producer of this show, because this show has had lives and had other theater performances and have performances that are coming up out of town as well. Is to not limit yourself to say, I'm a hometown and this is only what I do. No, I'm universal, I'm international. I speak different languages to different people, and I tell different stories, and I want to pull everyone in. And that's what I love about what my parents installed in me. They told me to think outside of the box, and they said to really breathe and breathe and be an artist. And I love that permission, because it's amazing to really be able to be an artist.
Well, will the world give you a fair shake? And that's what I say, that I think it's a transcendent play. It isn't just about race. But is it not, don't you ask for a crossover identification? Doesn't the bigger audience need to be told this is not just an incestuous little place about this particular family, but this is a universal play? Are you getting that kind of understanding?
I feel like that I am getting that understanding. I believe that when I wrote this play and I conceived this play, and even when I met Thad and Theodore and all the other cast members, in my head, my story would resonate with a certain audience, but I'm always welcoming other audiences to come in and listen to the play. Because you know what? One thing, what the challenge is in the arc of the show, it transcends race. It transcends sexuality. It transcends everything. It transcends the boundaries that people put themselves in. It transcends that. It's not stuck in a box that it can only be about that. And I think the greatest story and the greatest part of the story is that everyone wants to be their higher self. And everyone wants to be the person that they feel that they need to be happy. And I think that is unlimited when it comes to race and ethnicities.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So right now you're doing a local production.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Right?
Tomorrow we're doing a local production at New England Public Media, and it's our Kwanzaa celebration. And once again, we're in a new space, so we have to curate the new space to prepare for this show. As every other place that we've been, every theater space that we've been, and we've been to like 5 theater spaces so far.
Is it because you have designed a play that doesn't need an elaborate big build? I mean, it seems to survive on a fair simple version.
And it's designed that way. It's designed that way. I want you to fall in love with the language. I want you to listen to the tones and the voices and the stories. I want you to fall in love with the emotions. I want you to go on the journey with my actors. I don't want you to just kind of come in and see a lot of lights and magic things and sparklers. I want you to see that these are humans who may be failing some way to themselves right now and then finding a way to elevate themselves to their higher purpose. Right now we're here at the Holyoke Media. Right. And when we did Holyoke Media, we actually did 3 shows. And our standard when we travel is to do 3 shows. Because of this performance at Holyoke Media, someone was in the audience and they saw the performance.
Is that how it happened?
We need you to come to Springfield. And that's how the New England Public Media happened.
Oh, I see.
So that's kind of happened. So thank you, Holyoke.
Okay. So that's how it happened to me too.
Yes.
I happened to see it and believe in the play immediately. And the audience, even if it seems like a small play, it's not a small play.
Yes, definitely.
It's a big play.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it the other night. But I feel like you're on something like this. Maybe is really true. Benjamin D. Smith, a rising star in Broadway, right?
Yes. Yes.
Why contradict that?
Definitely, we're not contradicting that. I feel like, wow, this play was written, and the first draft was written in February, and it was finalized in May, and it was just from that moment, it was like a rocket took off. Yeah. And the buzz was in school, the buzz was in the classroom, the buzz was among my peers, and the buzz was just there. So I was like, wow, And it's so funny because I just didn't expect it to be all that so soon. And I always tell people that I've written other things, and for me, I would like those plays to be developed outside of New York before I take it to New York City. Sure. Because New York can be so unforgiving. Yeah. Unforgiving. If you have a play and someone reviews it and they say it's garbage, then there it is. The door has been shut and your tomb is buried, and there you go, and they're reading your obituary. So
that's another one.
Yes. So for me, having to go into New York right out of the box was kind of challenging, but I had to do it because this is where it just happened.
Well, now you've got a play, and everybody knows it. Now what do you do?
Right, definitely.
So do you feel the pressure of this first moment to be very careful with it and figure out what's next and all that stuff?
I feel this play, I have to be very careful with it. I feel like with this play, I don't want to overexpose it. So I'm also questioning like the theaters that we're going to and the invitations that we're getting. And so I question that because, the ultimate goal is to go off Broadway and to go Broadway. And I want to open up the eyes of producers to receive this and know that it has not been totally exposed and know that it can still be a magic for an audience in New York City. So I am limited to where my performances are, and I'm limited to how many theaters that we're doing the show. So after a while, we're going to just kind of put it back in the box, and we're working with producers and our producers package we have So we're working with how the numbers can work to build it to a New York audience,
Right.
where it can have a life of at least 3 months.
Would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
It would be amazing.
But you could go through the agony of watching it being bought by bigger forces and move in and
Yes,
say,
definitely.
everything is great except we have to have a star, we have to have a
and that
producer and all
that
that
always-
stuff.
yeah.
So let me just say, I would welcome you to that problem
Yeah,
because you know what,
definitely.
you deserve it, and to me, it's a wonderful thing.
This project is in development, and when I say that, it's going to change, not a lot, but it's simple little things, simple little nuances. When I see it night after night, there's little things I want to just change, just so the audience is receiving it the way it needs to be. And I think that's what plays do when they're previewing.
Yeah. When
a play in New York previews for months, it's not the same way it looks on opening night.
Right.
There are changes that are made with lighting, with sound, with
Right.
effects. There are different things that are changed until opening night when the critics can come and see it. And I feel like we're working in our preview. We're previewing, so this is our previews right now.
Right.
We're working on the different kinks, making some changes, seeing how it can be enhanced, and we're always developing the best play because our audience deserves it. And we want to make sure that we communicate the story and the story is well received.